It's the Spotter Stand Live, starring BSR Pockets, BSR Hot Rod, BSR Momo, BSR Jova, BSR Scar, BSR SR5, Eddie D, featuring BSR Wings, Bubba J, Vince Conway, BSR Rugrat, Gear, Big Vito, Palmion, Randy Seeley, musical guest, BSR Mayhem, and your host, BSR Texan. Ladies and gentlemen, BSR Texan.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Spotter Stand Mother's Day edition. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. Hope everybody's having a great day. We've had another great week of racing here at Bomb Squad Racing, and we've got the exciting All-Star Week, bonus points week coming up. We got Hot Rod in the booth with us, tonight. BSR Pockets is here. The rookie BSR Palmian is here.
The original rookie.
Rugrat's joining us tonight, and special guest, brand new racer, Mike Coulong, also with us here in the booth tonight. How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Good,
Hello.
good, good.
Doing good.
Great. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. Did they
Sean,
talk over the intro?
no, nobody talked
No, we
over
didn't
the
this
intro.
time.
It was
Yeah, we were
okay.
good this week.
Yeah.
I was hoping that they were talking. I was hoping they did talk over the intro after you asked them.
So,
I
Sean,
usually always do, so
Sean, I see you out there in the chat, man. You're welcome to jump on TeamSpeak and join us in here in the booth if you would like. If you're going to do that, you'll probably want to mute YouTube so that you don't have the delay coming over, but you're welcome to jump in here and join us. We're going to be talking about you and Mike a little bit here on the show today. And
Yeah, you might want to defend yourself.
and the other thing with muting it is not only it'll sound like you're getting feedback, like it would be double timed. So it gets confusing.
yeah, one thing you can do, most of you guys already know, but like Mike, if you're out there watching it while we're in here doing it live, if you click on that little settings wheel, the little cog down there at the bottom of the video, there is a playback speed option. If you click it to 2, it will speed it
Cut
up.
down the delay.
Yeah, it'll speed it up and get it as close to live as possible, so your delay will be a little bit less by a few seconds. So we only had 3 races this week. Friday night was off. We did race in the dirt Wednesday night. We raced Martinsville in the Cup on Thursday night. Xfinity Series was off on Friday night, and then we had our
Saturday night team race.
third race of the
Yes.
Saturday night team series.
403.
So let's jump right into it. Let's get into Wednesday night in the dirt series. We are now 6 races in to this dirt series. So as we know, dirt runs Wednesday night whenever the truck schedule is off. And there's Sean. Welcome, Sean. How you doing, man?
Howdy.
We're going to get with you here after this. We already talked to Mike about it. Show you how to change your name in your game to get your points to light up like they're supposed to. So when you see the points here and you see your name come across and you're grayed out in the standings, don't think that doesn't mean we don't care about you. It just means that your name on RLM is set up slightly different than your name in the game, but we'll help you get that all running and working.
Okay.
So in the trucks, or not in the trucks, in the dirt, we ran Weed Sport this last Wednesday night, and as you can see there on the schedule, Hot Rod took the pole and the win. No surprise. Let me count those up. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 wins out of 6 races for Hot Rod, and it looks like Pockets has taken one. Gear Jammer has taken one. So no surprise for the Foot Doctor to take another victory in the dirt. Great job on the win, Larry.
But it was a surprise about getting the pole. We ran the heat, and the top 2 can't qualify in the heat. And Gear Jammer and Eddie D finished 1 and 2, and I just couldn't get nowhere. I couldn't get by nobody.
That's right, Eddie D with a bonus point there in the dirt for the top 2 in the heat race. Great job, Eddie D.
Yep.
And Gear Jammer, Gear has been doing a great job in this dirt series. As you can see, he's got a win. He's got several poles. He got the pole at Devil's Bowl, pole at Springfield Mile, pole again at Orange County, victory at Canandaigua. So Gear has been having a great run here. I think we were talking about that earlier this week. He's right on my tail in the points, and he's going to be catching me before long. Let's see what do we got left schedule wise. There's quite a bit of races.
8 races left. We're
Yeah.
not quite halfway. Next dirt race, which is in July. We don't have another dirt race to July.
So yeah, July 16th. It looks like we've got Terre Haute coming
Correct.
up,
Yep.
and then Orange County for the second time around. After that, you can see up there, Gear got the pole at Orange County the last time and ran pretty well. I think he gave you a run for your money in that race.
Correct. He finished second in that race.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
he did.
possibility
Chasing me
that-
around the racetrack.
Yeah, possibility he might pick himself up a victory at Orange County, which will help him catch me, but it might help me catch you. Both of us catch you a little bit. Can't
Good
ever
luck
seem
with
to
that.
finish in front of the damn dirt doctor here.
The dirt dauber.
The dirt dauber. Let's go take a look at our standings here currently in this dirt series.
You're not gonna do the
You
finish
know
order
what?
first?
We sure do need to do that. You got our top 5 for us?
Yes, I do. Hot Rod with the win. Gear Jammer finishing second. Texan third. Pockets rounds out 4th, and the newcomer Shane
Sean.
Fredrickson finishes in the top 5.
You just call him Shane.
He
Shane
did.
Fredrickson. Sean
Yeah,
Fredericks.
Sean. Okay, I'm sorry. my
Don, does
bad.
that happen to you a lot?
Yeah, actually, yes, it does.
I'm horrible.
You know what's weird?
I'm horrible with that name. I have a best friend. His name is Sean, and I call him Shane all the time. So
For some reason, and I know this on a personal level, people who are named Sean get called Shane, and people who are named Shane get called Sean. I do
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
know what
I
it
don't know
is
why
in people's
either, but that's-
brains that make them do that, but it happens a lot. I actually just thought that people named Shane get called Sean. I didn't realize that it works for Sean the other way, so that's good to know.
Yeah, Pocket's name is Shane, so that's why he gets that. Looks like
Then you add the 38 to that too. So
yeah,
That is,
38,
yes,
the
that's
038. Well, look
eerily similar.
at Hot Rod up there, 95 laps led. That's pretty awesome job, 95 laps. I'll tell you what I'm looking at though. I'm looking at that little red line right below it for the person who started next to last and finished in second place. That would be Gear Jammer. We were talking about Gear and the runs he's been having here in the dirt. So that's the most dramatic line I see in that board as far as spots moved. Gear Jammer started next to last and ended up finishing second place. Great job, Gear. So
Gear got out ahead of me, and I had to pass him back. And yep.
Yes, and a lot of people do not know that my first name is Shane Leroy Mercer, so There you go. I had to correct that. That is my first name, but
That's his
Leroy
whole
is my middle name.
that's his whole first name, Shane Leroy
I
Mercer.
go by Leroy.
You got to have two first names to be a race car driver, right?
Evidently.
What the hell happened to me?
And y'all can start calling gear first gear after last night. So I will talk about that during Saturday night.
Yeah, the first gear in my team set for the trucks is really nasty, but it needs
Mine
to
is
be though,
too.
so you can get a good launch on
Yes.
a restart.
Yes, mine is too.
And it's only in the center when but it's weird pockets because it's between 4,000 and 5,000 that it gets assy loose like that. So if you
I
clip
actually
it
do
just
it
a
by
hair,
feel. I know when to breathe it a little. You
yeah,
got to breathe it just a little bit, or it will snap.
yeah, but he got too excited and it went around on him. It was pretty funny. I watched that. That was that was
Did you
that
see
was
me miss
really
him?
close. That was yeah. I actually think you pushed him around. Up, you know what I mean? The rest of the way, that's why he didn't lose as much time.
I don't think I touched him. I went back and looked at it on my stream, and I don't
No,
think I
you did.
touched him. But
You did, but it sure looked that way from the chase view out of your truck.
I can't believe I didn't touch him. I actually got on the brake a little bit there.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our standings here. 6 races in, BSR Hot Rod in the lead by 9 points over myself. Gear Jammer making a run there at the top 2, 13 points back in third place.
He's closing that gap, and
Yes,
you
he
point
is.
here and a point there, buddy.
Eddie D doing pretty well here as well, down by 21 in fourth place. And looky there, BSR Rugrat. Looks like Rugrat and Palmian both move up a spot with Bubba J being
Missing
out
because they're
temporarily.
moving.
Yeah. So Rugrat moves into the 5th position down by 35 points, and she's got a 5-point gap between herself and Palmian. Palmian in 6th place down by 40. Congrats, Rugrat, up in the top 5 here. 8 races left to go. It's still quite a bit of racing left, but I think you can defend that top 5 position pretty well.
Yeah, just hopefully Joba gets back here so I can race him for it, not just take it because of his non-conditional.
Bubba J.
Yeah, Bubba J. It stinks that he missed out, and that's how I got it. I'd rather race him because me and him pretty have good races when we're racing in the dirt.
Yeah, Bubba J, I'm sure will be back pretty soon. He's in the process of moving, so I know he's a hardcore racer. He loves it just as much as the rest of us, and I'm sure he'll be back as soon as he possibly can. But who you are going to have to race for it is Palmian, and judging by some of the times he was turning this last week in the dirt. He keeps saying, "Well, it's a one-off. I can't repeat it. I can't be consistent." It's just a matter of time before you are consistent. And
he figured it out at the end. He figured it out in the middle of that race. I'm telling you.
Yeah, now I got to catch Eddie. 19 points behind him, 8 races to go. It's possible.
That's what Rugrat said too. Eddie's my target now.
Yeah, I mean it's not going to be really this dirt series points wise. It's tough because there's no points for leading a lap, no extra points for winning a race. You got one point per position. That's it. The only way you're getting any extra points is by finishing top 2 in the heat race to get a bonus point.
Got to step up your heat racing, buddy.
Yep.
That's got to do.
That's where I'm getting killed. I think I've only got 1 bonus point all season, maybe 2 in heat races, and Hot Rod has gotten several bonus points.
I missed 1.
Yeah, and on top of all of the wins that he's been getting, I think I've only finished in front of Hot Rod maybe once or twice this whole season so far. And, the bonus points are killing me. Whereas Gear Jammer, he's closing the gap on me. I can't remember how far back he was last week, but he finished
He's starting to pick them heat points up, I'll tell you that. He's either winning or finishing second.
He finished in front of me this week by 1 position and got the point for the heat race. So he gained 2 points on me. So I guess he would have been back by 15 prior. Well, he might have been back by more, but he was 2 points further behind me than he is right now. So let's go back over to the schedule here and take a look at the Truck Series right quick before we move on to Thursday night in the Cup Series, because this Thursday, all of the series are off, or this Thursday, this week, all the series are off, but it will be, like I said earlier, bonus points week, basically. It is All-Star week. We're going to have an All-Star race in all three series. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night will be run at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and they will be bonus points for the top 5. So 3 points to the winner, 2 points to second place, 1 point to third, fourth, and fifth place. So we're going to have 2 weeks in a row of Charlotte Motor Speedway coming up. This first week will be All-Star race, and the week following that will be the points race for all three of those series. And as you can see, we've gotten a little over halfway through this truck series. There's only 6 races left to go before we end the segment and head into the chase. Now, those races will be spread out, as you can see that it's another week until we get to Charlotte. We have a race the week after that at Kansas, but then there's not a break right there. Another week right there at Texas, and then there's not a break there either. Where is the long
There
break?
is no cup break. The only cup break from now to the end of the season got replaced with the second Pocono they run on the same weekend.
That's right. That's right. Truck break. Okay. So we've got a long wait then until we have another dirt race.
The dirt race is July 16th.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the truck break is.
So let's go over and take a look at Thursday night. Thursday night Cup Series. We ran at Martinsville this past week, and we are, believe it or not, 12 races through this first part of the season, almost halfway through the regular season before we start the chase. Only one race left to go in segment 1, and it is Charlotte Motor Speedway. We raced Martinsville this past week, the only regular series other than the dirt points race that we had this week, and man, we had a great race on Thursday night. Mike, one of our new drivers, Mike Coulomb, took the pole, and he was ready and set to take the win as well. I think I got a little bit lucky with the way things fell there at the end. Actually, we kind of both got a little bit lucky. We had a late race caution as we were all running low on fuel, getting ready for pit stops. And Mike, I believe you had already pitted, and I had about 4 laps of fuel left when you pitted. And I thought, I'm just going to stay out here just in case that caution flies. And I did, and ended up catching you a lap down when that caution flew. Luckily, you had just pitted and were able to take the wave around and get back on the lead lap there. But just not enough laps left for you to get back up there and take that win. But I mean, you had a great car, was running really good. You and Sean both. Sean was running really well also, and that was a hell of a race on Thursday night. So let's take a look at our race results here from Martinsville on Thursday night.
Yes, Texan with a good win. Sean finished second. Mike finished third. Joba finishes fourth, and Pockets rounds out top 5.
Wow, I didn't realize I led that many laps. I thought Mike led. Well, he did lead quite a few.
Yeah, he led 75. He's second
75.
most.
Yeah. So look at that. Two the brand new racers here. Obviously, you guys have got some experience in this sim because you both come in here running great right off the bat, which is awesome. We really increased the competition level here a little bit, and we've got a couple more drivers who are going to be there competing for the win every week. So great job, Sean, and great job, Mike, on that awesome run. on Thursday night, and great finishes.
Yeah, I was hoping that caution when it came out because I had myself poised to save gas. I had enough to go all the way to the end.
Yeah, that's another thing. There were so many different factors that came into play in this race, which kind of happens that way when you get some green flag runs in there toward the later half of the race. We did have some cautions early, but about halfway through it settled in, and we had some long runs. The first long run that we had, I was pretty worried because Mike was running great. He was able to get out front and pull away from me. Um, but it seemed like maybe 30 laps or so into the run, I was able to start slowly running him back down, which, gave me uh, a little bit of a breather there because I thought, okay, if we get some long runs, I might have a chance here to be able to catch him. But yeah, at the end of that last run, um, Mike and I think, had most of the field pretty much a lap down, and pitting was going to be a factor. And I knew there were a couple drivers out there that could make it. I think Mayhem was saying he was probably going to make it on fuel. But at that point, he was saving so much fuel. He had to slow down so much on the track that I had put him a second lap down right before that caution came out. I knew I would be able to get in and out of the pits and stay ahead of him. But at Martinsville, it's if you take take full fuel and 4 tires, you're looking at about 2 laps. You're going to lose close to 2 laps in the pits if the other guys are out there running full speed, at least a lap and a half. And Sean only had you barely over a lap down. I think you were only a few seconds behind me and able to probably make it. And I was planning on going in the pits, taking half a can of fuel, no tires, just to get in and out as quick as I could. And I really didn't think, even with just half a can, no tires, that I was going to get out ahead of you. So that would have been interesting to see how that would have played out if it had gone green all the way there to the end. You just might have had that race because, like I said, a lap and a half, probably at least, I would have lost in the pits.
Yeah, when I knew you had to pit and I knew Mike had to pit, he had like 12 laps short, I think he said he was. So when I knew you had to pit too, I went in the fuel conserve mode because I was showing a splash. And when I came up behind Mayhem and he was 2 laps down, knew he was good to go though. That's was like, all right, I just started riding behind him and I stayed there. I was poised to at least finish second again, but that little caution had to come out.
So, Mike, when you pitted, did you take any tires or did you just take half a can of fuel? Yeah, Mike must have stepped away there for a little bit, but he pitted before I did. So if he did the same thing that I was doing, which he wasn't that much shorter on fuel than me, so I would bet he only needed a half a can. So if he just went in there and took half a can, he would have been out on the track for a few laps with brand new fresh tires, running faster laps than I was running, staying out there on my older tires. So he may have passed me as well. You guys might have finished 1-2 there, and I would have been third if that had gone green without that last caution. Would we have 9 laps to go when it went green? Somewhere in that range?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Something like that.
It's like we lost Mike.
Mike
Maybe
left.
his microphone maybe wasn't working.
Yep, now he's back.
Can you hear
Now
me
we
now?
can get the story. Yep,
Gotcha.
now we can hear
Yep,
you.
I was 12 laps short on fuel, and I was like you, trying to get as many people a lap down as I could. But I decided to pit a little early and just go for it. I did 2 tires in a half can of fuel.
So you did take
but
2 tires.
Yeah, but as soon as I came out, yellow flag comes out, and then saw what happened from there. And then I couldn't go back and get the other 2 tires, so that last run was just 2 tires and old left side. So
Right. Well, I wasn't going to take any tires, so even with 2 tires, you would have been running, faster laps on the track than I was with my old tires. So, like I was saying, there's a possibility if that had gone green, Sean might have took that win on the fuel, and then you may have been able to pass me on the track as well, coming out running faster laps with those 2 tires than I was running on my older tires before I pitted. So, but that was a hell of a race. Both of you guys did a great job. I'm looking forward to racing against you guys for the rest of this season. I think it's awesome. Add a couple more drivers in here that run nice, clean, fast racing. So yeah, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to the rest of this season.
There we are too.
Yeah, definitely. I got a little lucky with my second place finish because I knew Mike was faster, but I shot in the pits at that very last caution. I took 4 tires, so I have 4 brand new ones against his. And then something to remember is you had lost first gear, Mike.
Yeah, I didn't know first gear.
So I knew I had that advantage going for me too. So I took them tires and did my best to hold off against his no first gear too.
You kept him back there by, it looks like, just a little over half a second. Yeah, and I actually, believe it or not, I ran my fastest lap ever at Martinsville on the very last lap of that race. I had also taken 4 tires under that caution, and I knew it was going to be a good lap. When I was running, I got through 1 and 2, and I thought, man, I really got through that turn really well. So I wanted to see what kind of lap I was going to have. I pushed my F1 going down the backstretch so that I could see my lap time. And sure enough, I had a great turn 3 and 4 as well. Just right around there, nice, and it rolled the center perfect. I was able to slam the gas without getting loose or having to feather it. And I ran a 4:19, that beat my track record there. And that was the very last lap of the race. Yeah, it usually takes about there, somewhere in the 8 to 10 lap range before my tires have got enough heat in them to where I can really run those fast laps. And yeah, that was I'll probably never touch that lap again at 4:19. Mike, you were running some awesome laps. I saw you in practice turning I think a 4:04. I think somewhere in that range was the fastest lap I saw you turn, but you were consistently turning 4s and 5s.
It's just rhythm, though. Sometimes when you're in the rhythm and you're hitting your marks, you can lay down those laps, lap after lap. Sometimes it's like when you fall out of that rhythm, it takes me like 10 or 15 laps to find it again,
Yeah, Martinsville, definitely a rhythm track. And, especially when you get a long run and you're running that circle, you can almost get, that vertigo. You just get it, that short straightaway, just constantly turning left. And it's easy to fall out of your rhythms. It takes a few laps to get it back. So let's go and take a look here at our standings.
I had enough fuel, by the way.
I see that.
Donald.
Looks like Vito and Hot Rod also had enough fuel as well. So
I had just went 2 laps down, though, but I got that notification because I was watching Mayhem. Where is he, by the way? Anyway, I was watching him, and I happened to look, and I thought, I think I can do the same thing. And I did. I gave up the position, but that's one of those things where it has everything, the moon and the stars have to line up and hope that there's not a caution. And at Martinsville, in the closing laps, probably the worst place you could play that strategy, but it was really the only strategy I had to play because I had fallen a little bit back just due to racing. So it was easier to make that choice. You know what I mean?
That last caution was really weird. I still haven't figured out how that happened. Killer went past me coming off of turn 4. Killer went past me, or was it turn 2? It was turn 2. It was on the back straight. Killer came past me off of all from the bottom and came up in front of me. And when he come up in front of me, it turned my truck around towards the wall, which was like he sucked the back of my truck around, more back of my car around. So it was really weird.
And I mean, you still had tire wear to contend with from staying out there. And like Texan said, what'd you say, Texan? You wasn't going to get tires?
No, there was only going to be,
The
under
splash
15. I was going to get a half a can of fuel and no tires. So,
and the other thing, the other thing about that is that it is 35 miles an hour around there. Takes
yes.
forever. That's why you will go 2 laps down. So I thought I could at least end back up on the lead lap. I probably may not have advanced my position but y'all not taking tires, we would have been on the same amount of tire. And I actually saved a little tire by saving a little fuel. So, like I said, it was really the only strategy. It was easy for me to make that strategy call because I was already behind a little bit. That was really the only strategy that I was presented with, and I decided to go with it. And Mayhem went with it too. I feel like I could have possibly held him off once we got to 10 to go because you know what it's like to try to get around somebody there if we're allowed to block. So, but that caution, but that's racing right there. That's the strategies. That's why when somebody says, "Oh, it's just cars going around in a circle." No, not really. I mean, you got to think about things like that. There's a lot of different strategies and moves that you got to constantly be thinking as the race progresses and as it plays out of the choices that you got to make. And sometimes they're the right choice. Sometimes they're the right choice and it doesn't work out just like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sometimes you get caught, and sometimes you look like
a hero.
Yeah.
Look at me with Momo.
I totally agree because sometimes you're running good and you're not thinking. I'm thinking I need to catch Texan or do my best to try to stay up with him, and you're not thinking about guys behind me that are saving fuel until you get where it's almost too late. You thought, crap, I should have been thinking about that a little sooner.
I never even looked at my fuel until I seen him going slow, and I thought, is he saving fuel? Hit F3, and I thought, yeah, now I am too, because I didn't want to get beat by him doing that. So I had to weigh the options. You know what I mean? I knew what he was doing, so I was like, and I always, 95% of the time, I always try to top off just in case it comes down to having one or 2 laps of fuel than everybody else can sometimes be a huge advantage depending on how the race plays out.
That's what happened to Mayhem and Texan and Momo at Richmond. They all went in the fuel saving mode, and I had already saved plenty, and I was full throttle and hammer down and called them and passed them all to win.
That's what else I was going to say too is when you race in a race that Larry Yeager Jr. has fielded a car in, you had best pay attention to that fuel mileage because I promise you, he is from the second he leaves pit road on the parade lap. He doesn't, and I kind of watch him a little bit sometimes to see what he does, to kind of see what his strategy is, because if there's any fuel playing, he's playing it.
Absolutely. And I catch myself. I do that, it seems, only at the super speedways, Talladega, Daytona. I'll be watching that fuel, but any of these other tracks, I go out and I run. I'm usually not watching the fuel until it starts to get closer to the end of the race, when I'm starting to count laps and pit stops and see how things can play out.
Yep. By then, I already got 3 laps to the bag, baby, and I'm good to go and hammer down.
Yep.
For me personally, it sucks. I hate it when the fuel window presents itself and you're like, all right, you got to save some, because that just, I don't like racing saving fuel. I like to race, you know what I mean? But you've got to weigh the options there. And a lot of times, like I said, I didn't really have another option. That was the only one I had. So I decided to go with it and stick with it, because once you go with it, there's no coming back from it.
Well, you can see our points up here. Been up here for a little while now, with just one race left to go in segment 1 of this Cup Series. I have got the lead by 29 points over Mayhem. Hot Rod sitting in third, down by 32, only 3 points off of second place. Palmian in fourth place, down by 71, and Eddie D rounding out the top 5, down by 103. Now, Mayhem did miss the opening race of this series. He missed Daytona.
Yes, he did.
That is at least 30, 33 to 40 something points, depending on where he finished. So he would have anywhere from a 5 to 10 point lead in this series right now had he made that Daytona race, because he has had more victories than any of us so far here in the Cup Series. So hats off to Mayhem. I mean, missing a race, and over 12 races we've had so far, he's been able to make that up. 11 races that he's been in, and sitting second place in the points, back by 29. That's a hell of a job right there. And Sean and
If
Mike.
Mayhem would have just started and parked, he would have got 30.
Yeah, so if he would have just started and parked, he would have a 1 point lead right now, which is what he won the championship by last year.
Yep.
1 point. Freaking fourth gear.
That freaking fourth gear again, Kelly. You can't get away from that, can you?
Well, to lose, have a lead going into the last race of the chase, and to lose fourth gear in the last race of the chase, and lose the championship by 1 point because of it. I mean, that, but
And the worst part is you couldn't lose fourth gear at the end of the race. You had to lose it almost at the beginning of the race. That's what really sucked.
yes, yeah, of course. Yeah, and that's where these bonus points come into play. As you guys will see here, Sean and Mike, we're going to go over the bonus points after we do Saturday night here. You'll see how they work, and every bonus point comes into play when it comes down to that chase, because things are usually pretty close here at the end of the season, and it can be won or lost by 1 point, like it was last season. So one extra victory, one top 5 finish in those bonus point races, any of those, one extra bonus points, I would have had a tie, and then we would have had to go to most second place finishes in the chase. Yeah, so that those bonus points definitely come into play. And you see, you guys' names are grayed out here. I think we were talking to Mike about it earlier. Sean, it's just because of the way your name in your game is set up, different than your login name on RLM. You've got your Sean in the first name box, and the Fredericks in the last name box in your game. And all you've got to do to make those points come in and show as white, I mean, they're still counting, so you can still see points on the board whether your name's gray or not. You'll have to go into your game, and in your player screen, just backspace out the Sean from the first name box, and put the S in front, or basically whatever name you have
Whatever your name is,
in RLM.
whatever your username is to your lobby, that's what has to match that player last line.
Right.
I have to get with Mike. Mike's going to have to edit his.
Just make sure, like we were telling Mike, make sure that you back up your player folder before you do that. 90% of the time, 99% of the time, you don't have any problem changing your name, and all your setups, everything are still there. But there is that small chance that when you go to change your name, you lose all your setups. So you don't want to create a new player. You just want to change the name of the player that you already have there, and make sure when you're finished, you click the done button at the bottom and not the back button. So click done, and that should get you set up to where you show up in white like everybody else there.
I've already done mine too.
Did you edit your lobby name?
Yes. No,
Okay.
I just changed the game name, so it's now just M space Coolong.
Right. Okay, but your lobby login name is exactly the way it is here in TeamSpeak, so it'll still be wrong.
Gotcha.
Oh, your login name in RLM is M Coulong with no
Yeah.
space.
All lowercase. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, you can go into RLM and do the same thing. Just edit your username in RLM to exactly what you have in your last name box of your game. Make sure it's got the capital M space Coulomb, if that's how you've got it.
Gotcha.
Right. Right. So you got that, Sean? You understand how that goes?
Yeah, pretty much. I had actually been signed up on RLM before, and I had my whole name when I was running with Rolling Thunder. But when I tried to like join in, your guys's, it made me do a whole new deal. Like I said, I had problems with 5.0, so it made me basically do a whole new sign up.
Make sure you run 5.0 as admin all the time. That could be part of what the problem was with your 5.0 problems. It's fussy with Windows 10. So if you run it as an admin, it eliminates not all the problems, but 90% of them.
Yeah, so even now I can sign into the 5.0 through the run as administrator. But then when I go in to like try and edit my account, then I get that, gotta run scripts and all that. I get those kind of
Runtime
errors.
error, yeah. All right, so we went back over to the schedule here. As we can see, we have just one race left in the Cup, one race left in the Xfinity as well, and then we will be moving on to segment 2 of the regular season. All the points will start over again for the second segment, and we'll have a brand new fresh start for everybody coming in this second segment. So you guys, after the last race at Charlotte next week, Sean and Mike, you won't see yourself. You won't be so far back because we'll all be starting fresh, and yeah, you'll have a chance to be right up there in the lead and be up there in the top 5 in the overall standings for segment 2. And you may be a few points behind once we get to the chase, but you guys will still have an opportunity to run for a championship. You're only going to miss out on some attendance bonus points for segment 1 of the Cup and the Xfinity series. So
Yeah, but like last year, if you go back and look, the new guys, Gear, Eddie D, and them guys did, and I think Gear chased the top 5 in the overall. He may even finished in the top 5 at the end of the chase last year. And he had the same thing with him. He had missed the whole first segment. He didn't run any races in the first one. He only ran a couple in the second one.
right.
So he was way behind when he started.
So Friday night was off. We did not have a race in the Friday night series. We'll go over and let's just take a look at the standings right quick for the Xfinity series since we've only got one race left to go in this series. Looks like I hold the lead here as well. 25 points over Hot Rod in second place. Eddie D in third place, down by 38. Palmian in fourth, down by 44. And Gear Jammer in fifth, down by 70. Gear Jammer, unfortunately, had to miss a race. Technical difficulties with his PC. And speaking of missing races and technical difficulties, hopefully Momo can get himself a fan and get his stuff going because he's had to miss this last week for his computer overheating on him. It just shut down.
I don't think his is a fan. I hope for him it is, but I don't think that's what's wrong with it.
It sounds more like a bad. I'm thinking power supply.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking. His power supply is starting to go bad.
Because it's going into temp overload and shutting down power.
Yep, either that or his video card's getting hot and shutting down. One of the two. Before the fan. I mean, it could be as simple as a fan, but not likely.
So on Saturday night, Team Series, Season 41. We are 3 races in to Season 41. That's the 403rd race of this Saturday night Team Series. Another great race for the Yingling team. As you can see, we did take the pole and the victory on Saturday night. And again, a little bit of luck falling, just going our way with some other drivers from the other teams having trouble in the pits. Pockets, I believe you ended up with a black flag on the final pit stop. Or the next to the last, one of those.
That was the next to the last one, I think, wasn't it?
And SS Joba for the Aftershock team, same issue. He had he got a black flag as well. And
He got one.
But then he
pre-
blew up. He blew
Yeah.
up also.
yeah. So that's changed the points a little bit. Once again, I don't believe Aftershock moved in the points, but Mafia and Yingling have swapped once again. 3 races in, you can see looks like Yingling took the first victory. The Black Car Mafia took the second victory, and Yingling once again took the third victory at Talladega. But we are only 3 races into this series, 7 races left to go. Next week's race, or this week's race, Saturday night, will be in the trucks once again at Daytona. This time, and then we'll move back into the Cup cars at Talladega the following week. Let's
We
take
won both. We won both Talladega races. One in the Cup, one in the truck.
That's right. That's right. Yingling needs to. They need to have something go their way, or not Yingling. Aftershock. They need to have something go their way. That's our defending champions from last season. So they've got to step it up. They need to have something go their way here. As you can see in our race results, I did take the win for the Yingling team. Led 31 laps, which were the most laps led in that race. So brought that extra bonus point home for our team. Not only leading the lap, but leading the most. Brought home 48 points for the Yingling team. And Black Car Mafia, even though Pockets had the trouble in the pits, he still pulled off a pretty good finish for his team. 3rd place for the Mafia, and Pockets did lead a few laps, so he got that bonus point for his team also, 42 points for the Mafia. And Aftershock, man, they had some trouble this week with trouble in the pits, trouble with engines. It was Randy C. in that number 29 that brought home the finish for his team, 4th place. Unfortunately, Randy didn't lead a lap, so he didn't get that extra point for his team, or they would have only lost 1 point to the Mafia. As it stands, he brought home 40 points, and they lost 2 points to the Mafia, lost 8 points to the Yingling team. So let's see how that changed the points up for the Saturday night team series. It moved the Yingling back into the lead. Yingling took the lead with the first victory, and in the second race, we didn't have that great of a finish. Mafia won the race. They moved up into the lead. Last week, it was exactly opposite this. Mafia was in the lead by 3 points over the Yingling team. Now it's Yingling back in the lead, and the Mafia in second place, only down by 3 points. But Aftershock, with the tough week this week, has dropped back to 11 points back. So they do have some work to do. They need to get some victories in there. 11 points off the lead, but they've got 7 races to make that up. So that's a great team that they've got this season. Like we've said several times in the past few weeks, these teams couldn't be any more evenly matched than they are this particular season.
Well, right now the Aftershock team's a little handicapped with Bubba J not being around.
Yeah,
with his moving. So
this past week we were all missing 1 driver, so it was just three cars per team this week, which at least made the numbers even on all of these teams. It wasn't any one team that had an extra car over the other one. So
nope, you're right about that. Just I'm sure the Aftershock team will be happy to see Bubba J come back. I'll be happy to see Bubba J get back. I miss him already. He's only been gone, 2 weeks maybe?
Yeah, a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's ready to be back also.
I'm sure.
So that's all we.
I'm sure Pockets is in contact with him and has heard updates and stuff. So
From
he'll keep
who?
us informed.
Momo?
Bubba
No,
J.
Bubba J.
Bubbles.
Oh, yeah. I actually haven't heard from Bubbles in the last couple of days, but he told me beforehand that he was going to be busy.
Couple
And
weeks too. Yeah.
he should be able to get everything taken care of and settled in. We're
I
just
figure
waiting for him to.
I figure we're about to race in Charlotte. Probably another week yet to go.
This team series, Mike and Sean, this is something that we have done. God, I can't remember how many years it's been, but as you can see, we're on season 41. They are 10 race seasons, and we usually go a couple of weeks in between before we pick teams and have the next season. So it's a long time we've been doing this team series on Saturday night, and this thing is different than something you'll see in just about any other league. The way this is done, and we've talked about it in the past. It's been a while, but I mean, this thing in a lot of leagues, especially if you're racing in a league that's got quite a few drivers, you get, you got your 2 or 3 or 4 guys that you normally usually talk to, and and a lot of times, you're just racing with the rest of those guys that are out there. But in this team series, the way we do this, teams are picked randomly every season. So there's no, there's no, you don't pick teams. They're not staying the same teams. You're randomly matched up with different drivers every season. And what that does, is not only is it makes the racing interesting, but you end up getting paired up with just about everybody, that you're racing with at one point or another. And you're working together as a team using pit strategy, fuel strategy, draft strategy on these super speedways, when getting your cars together to try to get the best finish for your team every week. And what it does is it helps you get to know everybody in your league, because you're working with those guys for 10 races.
10 weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's not only been great for fun and competitive fun series, but just to help bring everybody in the league that much closer, because you'll know everybody as well as the next guy. And the way we score this, it'll be either 3-man teams or 4-man teams, and the way it's scored is the top finisher for your team, their points count for your team. Wherever the rest of your guys finish, that's where they finish.
They either take points away or whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, even if you finish 1, 2, 3 in your team, you're getting the score for the one guy who finishes first, but you're keeping that next team back to the 4th place points, because even though your other guys aren't scoring, they're still finishing in front of other teams. And there's so many different strategies that can come into play with this. If you're a lap down, you can still help your team. If you got to slow up a little bit to get with them, help them draft. You can still help your team draft. You might not take a position away from another team, but you can still help your teammate who might be up there on the lead draft, help him get a better finish by drafting with him. So this is a pretty cool little series that's been going on. Pockets came up with this idea. God, it's got to be 10 years ago.
2007.
Yeah, 2007. So more than 10 years ago, and we've been doing it ever since. And it's worked out great. It's a good fun series. Normally, I'm not a super speedway guy. They're not my favorite kind of races. But this team aspect just changes the whole thing.
Dynamic.
Yeah, you're not out there racing by yourself, and you're racing with teammates, and there's all kinds of strategies that come into play in this thing. Not only for trying to get the best team you can for your finish for your team, but who you might help, which team, like say Aftershock right now, they got to make up some points. They need to finish in front of the Mafia and the Yingling team, but more so, not only finish in front of Yingling, but maybe have the Mafia finish in front of Yingling as well, because they're farther back to Yingling than they are to Mafia. So if they want to maximize their points to be able to to close that gap as much as possible. So if they could get a win and somehow end up
Second,
helping Mafia get a finish that is in front of the Yingling team, then that benefits them because they make up even more points on Yingling while making up points on the Mafia team as well. So, I mean, there's all kinds of strategies that go into this, and it's a lot of fun. This is a great series on Saturday night if you guys are able to race on Saturday. You want to come out and run with us.
Is it
You
just
could
all
literally
super
talk about
speedway?
the strategies for 2 hours in that
oh,
deal.
at least
Yeah, I could. Yeah,
anything you can think of has been played out. I guarantee it.
it's all super speedway, Talladega and Daytona. It swaps from one to the other each week, and we run a combination of trucks and cup during the same series. We'll be in the cup for a couple of weeks, trucks for a couple of weeks, back to the cup. We have team cars that are painted every season, so your team all will have matching cars, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And not that it matters a whole lot, but Daytona swaps every other week from day to night. So it'll start day and then go night, then day, then night, then day, then night, or vice versa.
So that's about all we got for the racing part this week. Let's go over and take a look at our bonus points, how they stand currently. Just about halfway through the season now. There's our truck bonus points. We didn't have a truck race this week. They have not changed, but we're going to let you guys take a look at them anyway. Looks like I've got the most victories here in the truck series, having a pretty good season so far in the truck series. And not only with the 3 victories over there in the race winners box, I also got the win at the Spring Texas, which got me an extra 3 bonus points. So that's 4 wins overall in the truck series this season. I've got some bonus points in the AK Daytona and a couple of bonus points in the regular Daytona as well. So I've got a pretty good gap on the rest of the field right now. If you look over in that total bonus points box, I've got a total of 9 bonus points in the truck series. And the next closest are 3. Mayhem, Pockets, Momo, and Scar have all got 3 bonus points. SS Joba and Eddie D have got 2 bonus points, and Bubba J with 1 bonus point at the moment. But we are coming up on the All-Star race. You see that middle left-hand column there at the bottom. All-Star race, top 5, 3 points to the winner, 2 points to second place, 1 point for the rest of the top 5. Then we have also got the Fall Texas race that will be coming up a few weeks after that. Also a bonus point race there as well. And then the only other box we've got is our segment box at the end of the segment before we head into the chase. The leader at that point will get 2 bonus points, and the rest of the top 5 will all get 1 bonus point. And the only other bonus points will be attendance bonus points. So only one segment in this series. If you made a little over half the races, you don't have to make all of them, but if you make a little over half the races, you will get the attendance bonus points as though you showed up to every race.
Well, the guys that can't make the half, they'll get a bonus point for every race they do make.
That's right. And this truck series being a shorter series, this is the only one that just has the single segment. The Cup and the Xfinity have both got 2 segments in them. So let's go over and take a look at our Xfinity. They also were off this week. But here the bonus points are a bit closer. Looks like the wins, if you look over there in the victory column, there's several drivers that have won races here in the Xfinity Series. Mayhem with 2 victories. Pockets has got 2 victories. It only shows 1 in that race winner, but the other one is the opener, the Daytona Top 5, where he got 3 bonus points for that win. I've got 2 wins, or actually 3, because it looks like I won the Spring Texas race in this series as well. But you can see it's a little bit closer over here on the totals box. I've currently got 7 bonus points in the Xfinity Series. Pocket's right behind me with just 1 point back. He's got 6 bonus points. SS Joba is in there with 4 bonus points. And then you got Mayhem and Bubba J have both got 3 bonus points. Eddie D and Gear with 2, and Momo and Hot Rod are in there with 1 bonus point. And again, we've got the All-Star race coming up here. That center box right in the middle. All-Star race number 5. 3, 2, 1, 1, 1 on the bonus points in the Xfinity Series as well. After that, our only other race that's going to be bonus points, since Texas is in the chase in the Xfinity and the Cup Series, that second bonus points race is swapped from Texas to Michigan. So when we come to Michigan, the top 5 there will be getting bonus points as well. And that is 3 bonus points for the winner, 2 bonus points for second place, and 1 for the rest of the top 5. And then you see our segment boxes over there. Segment 1, segment 2. Segment 1 and 2. And then we have the full season as well, the overall points. The leader in each of those segments will get 2 bonus points, and the rest of the top 5 will get 1. Same thing with the full season overall. The leader will get 2 bonus points, and the rest of the top 5 will all get 1. And we have attendance bonus points as well in these series. So at the end of segment 1, which is just 1 race away in this series and the Cup Series, all your race totals will be tallied up, and if you made just over half of the races in segment 1, how many races in segment 1, Hot Rod? 11 or 12 in this series?
There's 11 in Xfinity.
11. So
in the first one, 12 in the second one.
So that's going to be probably 6 races, which most of the guys will have made at least 6 races. If you made 6, you'll get the full 11 bonus points as though you showed up to every race. If you made less than 6, you'll get a bonus point for however many races you made. And then once we move on to segment 2, same thing. So as you guys can see here, Mike and Sean, once we move into this segment 2, you're going to have an opportunity not only for bonus points for wins, bonus points in this all-star races that are coming up this week, bonus points in the Michigan race, segment bonus points if you finish in the top 5, and if you're able to make just over half of the races, which for the segment 2 it'll probably be 7 since we've got 12 races, then you will get the full 12 bonus points for attendance as well. So really that's all that's putting you guys back when we come into the chase are the attendance bonus points for these series. Like say this particular series right here, that's going to be about 10 points, somewhere in that range. And if you do well in the all-star race, if you win, that's 3 bonus points. And those, let me tell you, those go a long way. The 3 bonus points or 2 bonus points versus 1 goes a really long way in the end. I mean, if you win the all-star race and then you win the Michigan race, that's 6 bonus points right there just in 2 races. And that puts you up with pretty much the leaders on here right now. And even going into the chase, only 10, 12 points back, you got 10 races. So 10 or 12 points is easily done over 10 races if you can string together a good 10 races. So, even coming in halfway through the season, you guys are still going to have a shot at the championship when we get down the chase. Let's go take a look here at the Cup Series.
Do they have any questions? Do they have they gotten up? I just find it hard to believe that people can grasp that concept of points without having a lot of questions. Do they have any questions about how we're doing those points and why we come up with the system like that?
Makes sense. I mean, we may have to get filled in a little bit, but generally I understand what you're doing.
Right.
The problem I was always faced with was, how do you run a year-long series when people obviously have real lives that they have to attend to, and we can't all sit down and play a racing simulator every damn night that the schedule is? So that's why we basically allow you to have those moments where you have to go to dinner with your family or you have to go to your kid's music recital or whatever and still be valid in the points even through the week or even on the main board, because y'all all know as well as I do as sim racers, you miss one race, you're out of the points. And that takes people's motivation away. We delved off into it. Momo and I delved off into it, and we spent a lot of time batting ideas back and forth and trying to think of all of the things, of the reasons why it would not work to make it work, so that you can miss races, still be current in the points, and even in the segments. That's why the segment only pays a minimum amount of points. Then we give concession for the all-star races and the few select crown jewel events where you're going to want to make plans to show up to them, because that can give you an opportunity to get some more of those valuable points. But it all works out in the end to where when we go into the chase, nobody goes into the chase so far down that they don't have a legitimate shot of winning the championship. So that's why we did it that way. And as it plays out more and more, it's kind of one of those deals you got to play a little bit to understand. And then, but if y'all ever have any questions or anything, let us know. And that's just it all stems from trying to deal with how do you run a year-long series and still keep people current and involved and motivated to still run like a real race series racer runs.
Is there no bonus points for like leading laps, leading the most laps, any of that stuff? It doesn't appear to be.
Well, those points do
They go in
count.
your regular points.
Yeah, they count in the overall standings, and that's one of the things that you'll hear me talk about several times. That matters, because if you look at these segment bonus points over here, if you finish in the top 5 in the segment, you're going to get at least 1 bonus point. 2 if you're the leader at the end of that segment. And bonus points for leading a lap, bonus points for leading a most lap. Those go onto your overall points, which is where you're standing in that segment. So if you lead a lap, like in this Cup Series, there's 13 races in segment 1, 13 races in segment 2. If you lead a lap in every single race, that's 13 points that you would have that you wouldn't have otherwise. And that 13 points can be the difference in you being in the top 5 at the end of one of these segments. It could be the difference in you being the leader in the top 5 at the end of these segments. Same thing with leading the most laps. Those extra points in each race, they matter in the overall standings before we get into the chase in these segments. So, it matters. I try to lead a lap every single race. If I don't think I'm fast enough that I'm going to get out and lead a lap during the race, I'll stay out under the caution and get that bonus point. We call it a lady lap. So I will stay out there and get that, because I do that. I play those numbers. I do that math, and for me, that 1 extra point every single race makes a difference in the overall standings. And like I said, if you're the leader at the end of that, that's 2 bonus points for that segment. So it
Gotcha.
will pay off to lead those laps. And just to add a little bit to what Pockets was saying earlier about, making sure everybody has an opportunity at the end of the season, because we know everybody's not going to be able to make every race. Part of this system is also set up to make sure that you're also appealing to the drivers who do show up every week, every race. That's why the attendance bonus points were added on there at the end of each segment, because let's face it, if you got somebody, if you've been showing up to every single race, and you've been having a great race, and you got somebody who only shows up to half of the races or 5 of the races, you don't want to go into the chase with that guy being dead even with you. You deserve something for that effort you've been putting in to show up every single week and race all the time. But at the same time, the guys who can't show up sometimes, that's why we make it just over half the races, because there might be multiple times when you got something to do on Thursday night or Friday night and you just can't make it, and you can miss 3, 4, 5, 6 races and still get the full attendance bonus points, so long as you're showing up to a little over half of them. So it's set up kind of both ways. We want to make sure that everybody has a chance at the end in the chase, and we don't have just a top 12 or anything like that. Everybody who races is eligible for the championship in the chase. And we want to make sure everybody's got a shot, but we also want to reward the drivers who show up every week. And it's not, as you can see, a huge gap, because even you guys coming in here halfway through the season, like I said, the only thing you're really missing out on is whatever bonus points guys have earned for wins and bonus point races and attendance points for the first series. And you guys have raced a couple of races, so you will get some bonus points for your attendance in these races as well. And like I said, you made it in just in time to be in here just before these all-star races, because those are big deals. You guys run pretty good. I would say both of you have got a good chance of definitely top 5 in these all-star races, if not a victory. So being able to have the opportunity to snag those bonus points right there, plus the few attendance bonus points you'll get before we move into this second segment, it puts you back a little bit going into the chase, but it's not like an impossible, insurmountable goal that you're going to have to reach. I mean, you might be back, like I said, by 12 points, somewhere in that range, once the chase starts. But over a 10 race series, you put together some good races, you can definitely do that. That's doable.
There's also bonus points at the end of the season. Both segments are added together, and the overall top 5 get bonus points also.
Are they lost yet? I will say this. This is just one of the things that will show, especially you new guys, the steps and the links that we will take to make sure that it's fun, exciting, and fair for everyone involved. We try to take everything into consideration, like not being able to make all the races. So, because I tell people all the time, our goal is to want you to come back and race. We need and depend on good, clean racers. And so we are willing to do the work and make sure that we try to provide you with the place that you can miss races, and we just think about people. It's not just, we don't just put a race up there and if you make it, you don't make it, too bad. We will take the time and effort to consider all of the things that are involved with sim racing, because we are sim racers and have been for a very long time, and we consider everybody else that sim races, we want them to race. You know what I mean? So that's what that's all about.
I'm impressed by, you guys seem like you have a lot of the stuff figured out. So we're just trying to absorb everything and learn as we go.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a lot to take in at one time. So if you have anything to do with points, if you have any questions with, just get a hold of me. I'm usually here 7 o'clock race night, just about every race night. So just ask, and I'd be happy to go over it with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I could tell you this. As hard as it is to figure out, as hard as it is to understand, it was every bit as hard as for us to put together, I promise you. That's why it took us 2 weeks of daily discussions, 3 hours a day, going over all the different, because Momo and I work good together, because he's always good at saying, well, what about this? Or he thinks of the things I don't think of. I think of the things he don't think of, and that's how we manage to work all that out.
Yeah, and these bonus points, that's the one thing that, it can take a few weeks for it to set in, exactly how all this is working out. But once we end this segment, you'll see those top 5. Like if you go to the point standings, you can see who's in the top 5. Those guys are the ones that are going to fill in that segment 1 top 5 box up there. When we get to the end of segment 2, same thing. And then the full season box you see down there, that's both segment 1 and segment 2 combined, all the points for the entire 26 races of this cup before we hit the chase. Those top 5 will get those bonus points. You can see, the way it's set up here is you get the race winners 1 bonus point toward your chase for winning a race. Some of these guys, like where you see these bonus point boxes over here, the AK race, that is basically our version of the duel. We have a winter series. It's one of our fellow racers that's passed away, BSR AK Racer. We named that winter series after him. It's the AK Winter Series. And the final race of that series is always Daytona. And it subs also for what would be the duels. So that's where that box is from. The top 5 in that race just get 1 bonus point towards their chase. And then once we move on to the actual Daytona race, that's where your extra bonus points start coming in. 3 for the winner, 2 for second place, 1 for the rest of the top 5. And then the other races in there, the Spring Texas, the Michigan race, and the All-Star race are all set up the same way. 3 bonus points to the winner, 2 to second place, 1 for the rest of the top 5. And we have a shootout in the Cup Series only, the only series that has that shootout box. The rest of them are just the regular race season. And in the shootout, only the winner gets any bonus points in that, which you can see was Pockets this week. So it's sometimes you look at this race winners box and you'll see, for instance, 4 for Mayhem. Well, he's actually got 5 wins, because if you look at that Spring Texas box over there, he got 3 bonus points for that win. And I can't count that as a 5 over there in the race winners box, because that's giving him an extra bonus point. He got 1 bonus point for each of the 4 regular wins, and then 3 bonus points for the win in the Texas race. Same thing with SS, where he's got 1. He's only listed as 1 victory over there in the race winners, but he's actually got 2. His second race was a 3 bonus point race in the Daytona season opener. So, yeah, you guys will. You'll after a couple of weeks, you'll get right along on how all these are added up. And once we hit the end of this race, there's going to be a lot more names over there in that total bonus points, because everybody who's been in a race will be listed there. If they haven't got any points during the regular part of the segment, they'll have their attendance bonus points added on over there. So
it's probably easier not to say, hey, you've got to understand all this. Just say go race, and we'll let you know where you're at as we go.
It'll come to you.
Yeah, there you go. It'll get to you.
And thank you to Larry Yeager for the one who makes sure that all this stuff is entered correctly, and he takes very good care of that. So we've given him a monumental task to make it be that way, but he does a great job of keeping it straight for us, because he has to keep me straight on it.
Larry takes care of all our points. Like I said, after you guys edit your names, he'll go into RLM and change your name in the standings for those individual races, so that your points will show up correctly.
Yep, after their next race, they got to run a race first with the edits, and then I can fix it all and straighten it all out. So
Yeah, I missed what you guys were saying to do. So
as soon as we finish up here, we'll
yeah, I'll get with you then.
Yep.
It's
Okay.
no big deal.
So that's about it, basically, for this week. All-Star race coming up Wednesday night in the trucks, Thursday night in the Cup, and Friday night in the Xfinity Series. So looking forward to seeing all you guys on the track Wednesday night. I believe we're going to be going in and doing a little bit of practice here in the Cup shortly. If anybody out there tuning in wants to come in, get a little practice, these are bonus point races, so you want to make sure you're as good as you can be, going into that race. No reason having to play catch up when you get in for practice Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. So if you want to come in and join us a little bit later, we'll probably be doing some cut practice at Charlotte here this evening after the spotter stand. It's been another great week. I appreciate all you guys tuning in out there live, and I really appreciate you guys all being in here with us, helping out with the spotter stand this week. And we will see you guys on the track Wednesday night at Charlotte.
See ya.
Lost.
See?
Holla.